In the vast, star-strewn empire of the far future, where humanity clings to a million worlds, there is no mercy, no dignity, and often no choice. Billions live and die in service to the Imperium of man, a galactic civilization built on a foundation of faith, fear, and unending sacrifice. For most, death is a release. But for some, a fate far worse than death awaits. They are not buried, not remembered, and not mourned. They continue to serve, even after their humanity has been scoured away. They are the Servitors' mindless cyborg thralls, stripped of identity and will, doomed to a hollow existence of endless obedience. And their story is one of the most horrifying truths in the entire Warhammer 40,000 universe. To understand the Servitors, we must first understand the brutal reality of the Imperium. It's an inefficient, decaying machine vast beyond comprehension and constantly starving for labor. It wages wars on thousands of fronts, builds starships the size of continents, and maintains cities that span entire planets. Human hands alone could never sustain this endless engine of war and industry. The Adeptus Mechanicus, the cold, logical priesthood of technology, found the solution: reshape human beings into obedient, tireless tools. Servitors are the result of that cold calculus. They are living machines created not to think, not to question, but simply to obey. The journey to becoming a servitor begins with an ordinary human. Some are criminals, condemned to this mechanical damnation for their crimes. Others are political dissidents, enemies of the state, or heretics whose faith falls. But many are simply unlucky captured enemies, unwanted clones from Vitawombs, or even citizens whose families sold them into servitude to pay off a debt. Once chosen, their fate is sealed. There is no appeal, no trial, no escape. The transformation process is as horrifying as it is irreversible. The subject is restrained and sedated. Their memories are wiped clean. Their personalities erased through invasive neural reprogramming and psychosurgery. What remains is an empty mind, a blank canvas, ready to be rewritten with new, simply commands. Then, the real butchery begins. The flesh is carved away and replaced with crude, functional machinery. Limbs are amputated and replaced with servo-powered pistons. Hands become welding torches or heavy-duty cutting saws. The spine is reinforced with steel rods to bear immense loads. Augmetic implants are driven directly into what's left of the nervous system, overriding any stray thought with pre-programmed commands from the tech priests. The final step is a conditioning protocol that burns loyalty and obedience deep into the remaining gray matter. When the process is complete, the person they once were is gone. In their place stands something less than a human and more than a machina, built for endless work, incapable of disobedience, stripped of memory, identity, and will. Servitors serve countless roles across the Imperium. On the colossal forge worlds of the Mechanicus, they operate massive machinery in foundries that burn for centuries without pause, their bodies coated in grime and soot. In manufactorums, they assemble weapons, vehicles, and armor, each motion precise and unthinking, repeated millions of times over. Deep within the bowels of void-fearing starships, they crawl through radioactive plasma conduits and reactor cores where no unmodified human could survive, performing repairs in crushing darkness. Some are designed for simple, menial labor, carrying cargo or endlessly scrubbing the decks of orbital stations. Others are engineered for war-hulking combat servitors, armed with heavy weapons and worry chain blades, thrown into the meat grinder of battle as completely expendable assets. Even the most sacred halls of the Imperium are not free of them. Servitors stand in silent, unblinking rows beside tech priests during arcane rituals, serving as living tools and data. They act as interfaces to ancient, complex machines, translating binary commands into physical action. In some of the most grotesque cases, their brains are lobotomized and rewritten to function as living memory cores, storing vast quantities of data or running simple logic sequences. They are everywhere on every seep, every factory, every battlefield, so common that most citizens of the Imperium never give them a second thought. They are just part of the background noise of a brutal galaxy. But beneath every blank stare and worry mechanical limb lies the same terrible truth. Every single servitor was once a person. What makes their existence truly horrifying is not just what they are, but what they have been denied. They are programmed not to think, but fragments of their old nervous systems might still feel pain, fear, or confusion. They cannot speak, but medica servitors sometimes report hearing garbled, pained moans from those undergoing maintenance. Ghosts of memories sometimes remain flickering echoes of a life they can no longer recall. The servitor might twitch when hearing a name that once belonged to them, or hesitate for a microsecond before performing a task that was once achingly familiar. Desi. Glitches are quickly erased when discovered a flaw in the machine that must be corrected, but they are a haunting reminder that somewhere deep inside the metal and circuitry a spark of the original person might still linger, trapped and aware. The Imperium, of course, does not see this as cruelty. It sees it as necessity. In their brutal calculus, billions must suffer so that trillions more can live. The Adeptus Mechanicus preaches that flesh is weak and fallible, while the machine is eternal and perfect. In their doctrine, merging the two into a servitor is not a tragediet, is a tool perfected, its purpose elevated. Yet, for those who look closer, it is impossible to see anything but horror. This is a society so desperate, so ruthless, that it devours its own people, not just their bodies, but their very souls. And yet, for all this horror, servitors are vital. Without them, the Imperium would collapse. Its fleets would fail, its factories would fall silent, and its armies would be over. They are the unspoken foundation of human civilization in the 41st millennium. Countless billions of forgotten, mutilated people whose endless, silent suffering keeps the galaxy turning. Their agony sustains the Imperium. Their silence is the terrible price of humanity's continued survival. Some tech priests even take a perverse pride in their creations, crafting servitors as artful, grotesque masterpieces of bioengineering. Others view them as nothing more than expendable components, no different from a screw or a cog. For the Inquisition, they are useful tools of interrogation and enforcement, their very existence serving as a chilling warning to any who might dare to defy the Emperor's will. And for the common citizen, they are invisibly another cog in a machine too vast and terrifying to ever fully comprehend. There are whispered stories and verified, heretical rumors of servitors regaining fragments of a worker on a production line, pausing mid-task, its optical sensors staring into the distance, as if remembering a long-lost name. A combat servitor hesitating for a fatal second before firing on a non-hostile target. These stories are quickly dismissed as myths, for the Mechanicus insists their creations are mindless. But if even one is true, it raises a profoundly disturbing question. What if the person inside is still there, watching, trapped, screaming silently as their body obeys commands they cannot resist? This is the final, ultimate horror of the Servitor. Death is an ending. It is final, and in the grim darkness of the far future, it is often a mercy. But to become a servitor is to lose everything that makes you human while your biological functions continue a consciousness stripped of purpose, imprisoned in an unending cycle of labor. It is existence without life, duty without thought, obedience without will. It is slavery, and this is the cold, hard reality of the Imperium of man. It is a civilization built on sacrifice, on cruelty disguised as necessity, on horror accepted as normal. The servitors are the living, screaming proof of that truth that even in the greatest empire humanity has ever known. The line between salvation and damnation has long since been erased. In the 41st millennium, there are countless ways to die, but few fates are as horrifying as this. To live on without a self, without memory, without a solar hollow machine that was once a human being, and as long as the Imperium endures, as long as it hungers for labor and power, the servitors will endure with it. Forever silent, forever obedient, forever forgotten. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of Warhammer 40K's darkest corners. If you found this glimpse into the grim darkness fascinating, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Let me know in the comments what you find most terrifying about the Servitor. Until next time, stay safe, and may the Emperor protect.